Good evening, everyone. I'm Tina McAndrew, the library director at Randall and Stow. Welcome. As you just heard, this is being recorded for Stow TV. We ask that you remain muted just to eliminate any background noise, but please feel free to raise your hand virtually or um, literally, or put something in the chat if you have any questions. And as always, we'll take a look and try to get to your questions as soon as we can. In the meantime, I'm going to hand it off to Rick, and he will introduce tonight's speaker for Sustainable Stow.
Thank you, Tina. Hello, everybody, and particularly hello to our speaker, James Lowenthal. He's a professor at Smith College. You may have heard of Smith. Beautiful school. I love that campus. Great place to see stars at night, I think, too, because it's not too near a big city. His research interests focus on high redshift galaxies, Lyman break galaxies, starburst galaxies, and on and on. I don't even know what any of those things are, but they sound fantastic. But we invited him here tonight because he also talks on the importance of, or the impact of light pollution on all of us, and particularly on the little things around us that make the world go round and rely on night to do whatever they need to do. James, you wouldn't have seen this, but I used in some of our local publicity, I used something that's blooming right now, very early blooming plant.
Witch hazel?
Yes, exactly. Or Fothergilla. But yes.
The Fothergilla is not.
Yes, isn't that witch hazel? I thought it was. Well, I don't know. Anyway, and making the point, I don't even know what its pollinator is, but it's looking for something.
It's wind, actually. I just asked about this. It turns out it is wind pollinated.
Oh, darn. Well, nobody caught me on that.
I just happened to ask about that last week.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways, so you see what I know. But we are very glad to have you here with us tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a lot of, in theory, we have a lot of potential dark sky in Stow because something close to 40% of the town is natural areas. However, there are times when you couldn't tell that. There's been a lot of dark sky lost in Stow. So we look forward to learning a whole lot more tonight. Over to you. Thanks.
Great. Rick, thank you so much for having me here today, and thanks everybody for coming. I'm perfectly happy to do my best to monitor the chat in case questions come up. Don't hesitate to pop them in there or to raise a hand and interrupt. And here we go. I want to start on a hilltop high in the town of Heath. And I hope you can hear the coyotes calling as the stars wheel overhead. We're on the border with Vermont or close to it at about 2,000 feet, and the Milky Way is wheeling overhead. And I'm with a group of people from Smith, faculty and students, doing a little stargazing, a little dark sky experience to address their fear of the dark. And it's one of my favorite things to do, to bring people to the outdoors and to bask in starlight. Here we are now in Hawley, Mass. This is all in Western Mass, with the spring peepers in the background from just a year ago. And I'm with some of my students from an astronomy and public policy class. And here we are in New Salem, Mass, near the Quabbin Reservoir. Many of these students had never seen the Milky Way before. And they saw their first shooting stars. And some of them cried, and some of them sang. And here, closer to town in Northampton, the sky doesn't look that great. You see Orion up there on the right, but where's the Milky Way? Why can't you see the Milky Way? Why is it, why is why are the stars just washed out? And part of the reason is revealed if you turn your head the other way and you look towards the county jail. And that light down there is coming from the county jail. And if we zoom in and move around a little bit, there's the view of the county jail from half a mile away. This is actually the view from new houses built by Habitat for Humanity. This is what they have to look at in their backyard. This light shines right in their windows. All of downtown Northampton, where I live, flooded with light all night long. Imagine being a person walking around in that wash of light, that canyon of light down there on Main Street. Where does it all come from, that light? Well, it comes from the bowling alley and the parking lot and the parking garage and the top of the parking garage, even though nobody's there, and the empty parking lot, even though nobody's there, and this one and that one and this one and that one. It's just everywhere. It's the city's own lights. It's street lights that used to have a gas lamp in them like this, but that now have a much, much brighter light, 10 times brighter than was intended. So it's an old-fashioned light with a newfangled light in it. And we know what happens if you try and have a nice romantic dinner in the face of that light. Look at that guy. He's got to shield his eyes from the light because the light is so strong. It's pouring into the restaurants, ruining the ambiance everywhere. Here is our main intersection in town just before they installed the lights. This is Route 9 intersecting with Interstate 91. On a night when there was that full moon shining down, and I measured the brightness of the light. Moonlight is about 0.01 in the foot candle method. How bright is it after the lights went in? 500 times brighter than that. That's what the lights were put in. This is by the Mass Department of Transportation. This is totally standard. Does it have to be that light? Here's an old-fashioned looking light fixture on both sides of a neighbor's house. Again, it's meant to evoke, ye olde New England kind of look. And it's got 3 fake LED candles in each of those, but they're much brighter than candles, so that at night it's blindingly bright. And that light is pouring out sideways. I have to shield my eyes from it as I'm walking along there, trying not to slip on the ice, let alone trying to look at the stars. Here is another neighbor who thought, well, I need light on my walkway, so they put light on their walkway, only they did it the worst possible way they could, on the ground facing up into your eyes. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is facing down onto the walkway. You have to lift it up at least a foot or two and then face it down. This is another neighbor. It's done perfectly. Warm, mellow light, not glare. So to summarize this brief intro, what is light pollution? Well, light pollution is excessive artificial light at night. It's light that's not aimed right. It should be aimed down, but instead it's aimed out sideways or even up into the sky. Light that shines into neighbors' windows or into their backyards. Light that's on all night long, even when nobody's there, like this empty parking lot in Northampton. Why is light pollution a problem? Why should we care about this? There are actually 5 good reasons. Number 1, it's bad for your health. It's making you sick, literally. 2, it's bad for your safety. 3, it wastes money and energy. 4, it's a complete ruination of the night sky, the starry sky, and it's bad for wildlife. So to take a slightly deeper dive into each of those, it's bad for human health. Light pollution is associated with these serious diseases. Here's just one report about the World Health Organization deeming shift work a probable carcinogen. Shift work meaning, you work late hours at night in the presence usually of bright light at night. Here is a report on a Harvard nurse study of over 100,000 nurses for decades that found a very significant correlation of where the nurses lived. If they lived in light polluted areas, they had a significantly higher rate of breast cancer than if they lived in dark areas. And this has been repeated in numerous studies, dozens of studies now, South Korea, Spain, all over the world, people find the same thing. Light pollution is associated with elevated rates of hormonal cancers, diabetes, obesity, and of course, sleep disruption. Here's a map of Spain showing the light pollution in Spain. And that light pollution there correlates directly with higher rates of prostate cancer in men and breast cancer in women. How could this be? How could something as innocuous and beneficial as light be associated with something like cancer? It turns out our eyes are hardwired to look for the amount of blue light. When the sun goes down, the amount of blue light drops dramatically. Your eye detects that, sends a signal to the brain, start producing melatonin. Melatonin is a tremendously important hormone that courses through your body and starts a cascade of other hormone responses. It resets your body clock, your circadian rhythm, your 24-hour natural clock that all of our main body functions are on. And melatonin is a powerful cancer suppressant. So, does light pollution cause cancer? Well, no, but it suppresses our body's natural ability to fight cancer. And it's bad. In these three graphs here show three different kinds of light and the colors of light that they emit. At the bottom, a firelight or a candle light, you see it emits almost no blue light at all. It's all red light. That doesn't really suppress melatonin. An old-fashioned incandescent light, same thing. But a new LED light has that big blue bump. It produces a lot of blue light. And that is exactly what your body is looking for, blue light, to tell that the sun has gone down and start producing melatonin. In the presence of blue light everywhere, artificial blue light, we are in a constant state of melatonin suppression. We never produce melatonin the way we're supposed to. Here's a little bit more detail on that. This plot shows a spectrum, or the amount of light as a function of color. So color is on the x-axis, or wavelength. Blue is on the left, red is on the right, and all the different curves show different kinds of LED lights. You see the very top curve, the red curve on the left, is natural human um, uh, susceptibility to light. What is the light your eye is looking for? And it's that tall red curve. At 450 nanometers, that's blue. That's just confirming your eye is looking for blue light. All the other curves are the light emitted by different kinds of LED. And you see they're labeled with different numbers, 2700, 3000, up to 5000. That's the amount of blue. 2700 has the least amount of blue, 5000 has the most amount of blue. You can see there's a big range there, and they're all direct hits with the natural sensitivity of your eye to start producing melatonin. So that's the problem we're facing, a collision of our biology with our new technology. There are two recent discoveries that help explain the link between artificial light at night, ALAN, and cancer. One of them is the discovery of the mechanism inside the eyeball, the inherently photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, the special cells whose sole job it is to look for that blue light and send the message to the brain. The other recent discovery is the chemical mechanism inside each one of your cells inside the DNA. This is a picture of a cell with the violet oval there on the left is the nucleus of the cell. And this summarizes the several different chemical clocks that we have, the genetic clocks inside every cell. So the 24-hour cycle is hardwired in our bodies. And this got the Nobel Prize when it was discovered just a couple of years ago. There's been an explosion of research on this issue recently. If you Google circadian rhythm and light and cancer, you'll find over 10,000 studies just in the last less than 20 years. Here's the problem. We've dramatically changed our own environment. In the old days, we used to have a very dramatic difference between day and night. This curve shows the amount of light that we live in versus time, with midnight on the far left. And you see the blue curve rises sharply at 6 a.m., sunrise, and peaks way up high at noon, and then falls back down again at sunset, 6 p.m., and then it's way low at in the dark of night. That was pre-1900. But now we live in something more like the red curve, where in nighttime we have so much light that it's kind of like an average daytime brightness. And in the middle of the day, instead of bright sunlight, we spend most of our time indoors, so we get less sunlight. So in other words, we've flattened the curve. We've gone from the blue curve to the red curve, and we no longer have the natural rhythm of dark nights and light days to trigger the natural response of melatonin and serotonin and the rest of our circadian rhythm and its related hormones. So that's human health. What about human safety? Glare is the problem here. This picture shows a street light on the left and a yellow cone of light coming down. That's useful light. That's where the light should go. But that street light is sending light all over the place. It's also shining directly into the eyes of that person there. It's shining into the windows of the building on the far right. It's even shining directly up into the sky. That's glare. Here's a picture of a building with, in the middle, two lights, a bad light on the left with glare and light trespass shining all over the place, and a good light on the right shining just down, lets the neighbors sleep. Here's what the Federal Highway Administration says about glare. It's one of the most important elements to control in a lighting system. It affects your ability to adequately see, particularly for older drivers. Here's a picture of Route 66 in Northampton, the site of a near fatal collision just a couple of years ago. One of my colleagues was hit by a car at night when the driver had this view. And my strong suspicion is that the driver was partly blinded by the glare of those streetlights. So even though the Federal Highway Administration says don't do glare, we do glare everywhere. Our streetlights, most of them are very high glare. This is especially a problem for older eyes, as we just said. This graph shows the ability of the human eye to resist glare versus age. On the left, young people have a high resistance to glare. On the right, you see that curve is much lower, a very low resistance to glare. Older eyes are much more susceptible. What does that look like? Well, a young person might see the glare of oncoming headlights look like the picture on the left there. An older person might see the picture on the right, which means you can see immediately how hazardous this is on the roadways. We all know this. We know what it's like to see the light of oncoming headlights and how it's temporarily blinding. And many people say, "Oh, in my old age, I can't drive anymore because I can't see." But really, I think 95% of that, the problem is that there's too much glare. It's what we have two choices. Either we lock up us old folks inside all the time at night, or we fix the glare. And I would choose the latter. Here's what the American Medical Association says about glare and blue rich lights. You should minimize glare whenever possible, and you should minimize the amount of blue light. Don't use any lights bluer than 3000 K, where the higher the number, the bluer the light. In the outdoors, limit it to 3000 or ideally less than that. You might say, well, don't we always need more light? Isn't more light always better? We need it for safety. We need it for security. We need it to fight crime. I'm not so sure. Here's my street, and that's my street light. And it was directly under that street light that our car was parked and vandalized twice in the middle of the night. The thieves came, they jacked the car up, and they stole the catalytic converter, and they let the car down, and they went on to the next car. And probably the light made it easier for them to see what they were doing. Did it deter them? Not at all. It's not just me. It's not just this anecdote. There are decades and decades of scientific studies of the link between lighting and crime that have failed to reach any strong conclusion. We don't need more lighting. We need better lighting. Here's another example. Maybe you know of a backyard that has a bright light like this, shining out in all directions. If you could only just sort of block that light with your hand somehow, like this, you would see that there's actually an intruder there. Well, the intruder's in the first picture as well. You just can't see them because the light is causing so much glare. Light pollution is a complete waste. Light that shines up into the sky doesn't benefit anybody. It's estimated that at minimum, the United States wastes $3 billion a year lighting up the sky. It might be as high as $50 billion a year. And of course, producing the electricity to power all that light is also causing greenhouse gas emissions. Light pollution robs us of the stars. Here's another view of downtown Northampton on a nice winter night when some of the brightest stars in the sky are rising. You can barely see them in the glare, the glow of that artificially brightened sky. Whereas just a few miles away, Smith's beautiful McLeish Field Station has a star-spangled sky that our students just can't get enough of. you can see the Milky Way. And I was there that night to watch a comet, and it makes such a difference. Our students try to do research from the roof of our building right on the Smith College campus in the middle of Northampton. And we can do it. We're studying exoplanets. We're teaching students research methods. We're having open houses, but boy, it's a struggle when the sky is so light from all the artificial light. It's light pollution that's making the dome glow right there, Smith's own lights and Northampton's lights, and that's what's making the sky so bright. This graph depicts light pollution in the sky glow we call it, on a scale from 1 to 9, where 1 is a pristine sky with no artificial sky glow, and 9 is New York City, Times Square, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. Northampton is somewhere around a 5, meaning we can just barely make out the Milky Way if you know just where to look, but it certainly doesn't hit you over the head. We'll come to where Stow is on this chart in just a minute. Finally, artificial light is terrible for wildlife. Every one of these animals is hardwired to live and to thrive in a natural environment that has bright, sunny daytime and dark nights. Every one of them needs that darkness at night to thrive. And every one of them is threatened by light pollution. When we light up the nights, we ruin the habitat. Darkness at night is part of the natural habitat for all of these animals. More specifically, birds. This chart from Audubon shows migration routes from South and Central America up to North America, including far up to the northern reaches of Alaska and the Yukon. Birds flying sometimes tens of thousands of miles a year to find their summer feeding ground and their mating ground in the north. And it's a fantastic, amazing miracle that this happens every year. It's about to happen. Here we are in late March. So we're ramping up to spring migration. And if you're interested in knowing more, then go to Birdcast, this project by Cornell and UMass and Colorado State that predicts how many birds of what species are likely to pass over your head any given night. Here's the key thing, they migrate at night. And this chart, for example, shows that on this busy night in May, there were almost 100,000 birds in flight over my head just in that one night. This video shows, let me see if I can get it to play here. This video shows migrating birds. All the blue is bird migration. Look how it's rolling from east to west. Why would that be? Why is it increasing from east to west? Because darkness is arriving east to west. What you've just seen is the Earth rotating into darkness, and all the blue patches there are radar detecting millions of birds overhead. The green and the red, that's weather. Radar weather, of course, is detecting the storm systems moving across the country, but it's also detecting clouds of migrating birds by the millions in that busy May night. Here we see a map now, again, of migrating birds laid over a map of light pollution for the whole world. And you can see immediately, migrating birds are passing over heavily light polluted areas of North America. The problem is that 80% of those birds are migrating at night, and many or most of them are trying to use the stars to navigate. They use other methods as well. They're also, many of them, sensitive to the magnetic field of the Earth. They're sensitive to wind and temperature and atmospheric pressure and the starry sky. What happens if the stars are obliterated by light pollution? If they can't see those stars? It's estimated that 100 million to 1 billion birds are killed every year from light pollution alone in the United States. How does this happen? They are attracted by the lights of bright cities. This recent study showed that sky glow was the second most important factor at determining where birds are going to stop. So they fly at night and they have to stop somewhere and refuel during the day, catch insects or feed themselves or rest, and then take to the wing the next night. The second most important factor is artificial sky glow. In other words, light pollution that determines where they're going to stop. In other words, they are getting distracted. Here's a perfect example. These are this is the tribute in light, the Twin Towers in New York City, the 9/11 memorial that sends these two columns of light straight up into the sky, super bright lights, and uh, every speck in this picture here is a bird. They're migrating birds, circulating, gyrating, distracted, hypnotized by these bright lights when they're supposed to be migrating. Instead, they're caught in the tractor beam of these lights. And here's the result. Birds die by the hundreds of thousands on busy nights. They crash into buildings, they circle in bright lights until they drop dead from exhaustion. And then they get collected by humans and laid out on a table like this when they should be on their way up to Canada. So that's birds. How about mammals? About 3/4 of mammals are nocturnal, like this bat, like this mama opossum with her brood of babies, like this red fox. Both of these are in my neighborhood. Uh, they need darkness at night to hunt or to not be hunted, to avoid getting hunted, to forage, to reproduce. It affects all of their basic ecological functions. It makes me so happy to know that these coyotes and foxes and raccoons are in my backyard. This is the trail camera in my backyard. And every night there's all this activity back there. And it just thrills me. It makes me so delighted to know that they're all there. How about insects? What's your favorite insect? My guess is some of you will say fireflies. Here are fireflies by the thousands and thousands on a warm summer night in early July. And that's here on Elwell Island in the Connecticut River. And these fireflies are trying to find their mates. That's why they flash. They're male to female, female to male, flashing to find their mates and reproduce. In the presence of bright artificial light, they simply go away. And now there are species of fireflies threatened with extinction due to light pollution. Other insects, pollinators, for example. Here is an article pointing out that artificial light is a direct threat to pollinating insects. You might have heard that insects are in dramatic decline everywhere, and it's now being understood that light pollution plays a critical role in that. Pollinating insects were measured to visit flowers more than 50% less in the presence of light pollution than in naturally dark conditions. We know that moths are attracted to lights. What if the lights are dimmer? That helps. It turns out that it's directly uh, uh, related, how strongly they're attracted is directly related to the brightness of the light. So we should keep that in mind and use only the dimmest lights we can get away with for whatever we need them at night, no brighter. We often think of pollination as happening by daytime insects like this monarch butterfly or bees, but the truth is about half of it happens due to nighttime pollinators like moths. So here in Northampton, the city encouraged the local pollinator network folks to come and volunteer their time and plant this wonderful pollinator garden that has all these beautiful flowers and bushes and shrubs that attract pollinating insects by day, but then zaps them with killer death rays at night. The city installed these lights. They're too bright, they're too blue. They're bluer than everybody recommends. They're brighter, 10 times brighter than some parks in New York City. And Northampton says, oh no, we need that for safety. And so far they've been unwilling to bend on that. This study found that street lights only reduces the number of caterpillars. The line at 1, the horizontal line at 1 is a line representing no difference and to the number of caterpillars along the roadside. If there were anything above the line, there's just one of them over there on the right, that would mean, oh, we find more caterpillars on the bright areas under the streetlights. But look how the great majority of them are actually below the line. That means fewer bugs in the presence of lights. We all know what it looks like to look at a street light on a warm summer night, buzzing with pictures. That's my street light, buzzing with bugs. Those bugs should be off doing something else. Half of them are going to die because they're caught in that endless loop around the lights. Here's a summary. I know you can't read this, but I just wanted to demonstrate this compilation of different effects that light pollution has on all different kinds of insects. And these are all different scientific studies compiled by Avalon Owens, who did her thesis at Tufts University and is now a postdoc at Harvard. That has gotten a lot of press. Here's just a couple of examples of the insect apocalypse and how light pollution is directly playing a role in the demise of insects, including the pollinators that we need for our food supply. How about fish? Fish are also affected by light pollution. Light that shines into the water acts as a barrier, and that applies to fresh water, it applies to salt water, it applies to fishing boats that are out at sea, casting super bright lights down. They do that to attract the fish. It has devastating effects on the plankton, which is looking for a subtle moonlight and day-night cycle to know when to rise up and down in the ocean. This is just a short list of some of the institutes devoted to studying this issue, the issue of the effect of light pollution on natural living creatures, plants and animals, including humans. This is just a smattering of some of the United Nations level reports summarizing the effects of artificial light at night on flora and fauna around the world, and strong recommendations in these documents about what to do. The problem is light pollution is getting worse, not better. Here was a map of light pollution in the United States in the 1950s, here in the 70s, here in the 90s, and here this year, 2025. And you can see that everything east of the Mississippi is just almost solid light pollution. It's growing so fast, it's taken even us astronomers by surprise. This recent report by Chris Kaiba and his colleagues using 50,000 citizen science measurements of the night sky naked eye found that light pollution is actually growing worse at 10% per year. At that rate, we're losing more than a star a day from our skies. That report also got a lot of press. Here are just a couple of examples in BBC and Forbes and the Washington Post. Let's take a look closer to home here. Here's New England, and you can see the brightest spots are Boston, and to our south, New York, and to our north, Montreal. There are only a few really dark spots left in the Northeast, and those are in Maine and in the Adirondacks. And if we zoom in on the pin there, that's Stow. So here's your town, and the color coding, of course, shows the relative brightness of the night sky. And if you click on this, and this great map called lightpollutionmap.info, there's the name of it here, lightpollutionmap.info. And it lets you zoom in anywhere in the world, like the Stow, here I'm zoomed in, and I click on it, and it pulls up some numbers. And those numbers tell us, oh, there's the Bortle class. That was that 1 to 9, where 1 is really dark and 9 is Times Square. Stow's coming up at about Bortle class 5. The ratio 3.77. That means the night sky on a really good, clear, dark night for you in Stow, the night sky is almost 4 times brighter than naturally dark sky. Could be worse, but certainly could be better. Here's what it looks like in Northampton on my street. Hey, what happened to the street light? Oh, well, on this night, the street light was broken. And it was broken in a funny way. It was off for 15 seconds. Then it was on for 15 seconds. That's what the street light used to look like. And it was off for 15, and then it was on. So I went out and took pictures in both modes. The main reason I took these pictures is because I knew the city was about to install new LED streetlights. This was the old high pressure sodium. Here's what they installed. Get ready. That was before, and there's after. So there's the old streetlight that, I could live with, and there's the new streetlight that is outside my house right now. It has a glare shield on it now. It took a lot of work on the part of city and private citizens to shield it. It's better now. It doesn't shine directly into my yard, but it's still too bright and still high glare. And 95% of the rest of the street lights in town don't even have that glare shield. So there's the problem. How do we fix it? Here's another view of Northampton's Pulaski Park and the beautiful pollinator garden. Do we have to have all those lights on all night long? No. First of all, some simple rules. The lights should go down only. Not like this one where the light's shining up into the sky, but like this one where it's going down only. Not like this where it's shining into the neighbor's windows, but like this where it's going down only. The light should be in a can facing down. That's the basic idea. Not like these unshielded lights, but like these fully shielded lights. Not like the one on the left, like the one on the far right, going down only. Not the orange and the red, just the green, just the productive light that's going down only. If you have a light that's on a hinge, don't install it like this, install it like this. You know what they were thinking when they put that light in on the left. They were thinking, well, I want the light to go out sideways to, to cover the whole parking lot. What they don't realize is the light is not a laser beam. It doesn't go in just one little straight line. It's got a broad cone, a broad beam. And it's so broad that it goes up into the sky and into driver's eyes. Instead, if they just installed it like this, they would see, oh, that's much better. The light actually does go down on the parking lot, but not into the eyes of the drivers, not up into the sky. This is not a new concept. We know from all of our theater experience, think about the last time you went to your favorite live theater. You sit down in the audience, you look at the stage, you can see the stage. The actors on the stage or the performers on the stage can't see a thing because there's bright light shining in their eyes. But that light is carefully shielded, like the one you see here in the close-up. It's got those sort of barn doors. That's a glare shield. The number one rule of theater lighting is don't shine the light in the audience's eyes. Now, a question for you. If you're sitting in that theater in the audience and you look to your left, you look to your right, can you see the person next to you? Probably yes. So where's that light coming from? Well, it's soft ambient light that's reflecting off of the stage, off of the set, off of the sides, off of the ceiling. It doesn't have to be direct light shining on you to allow you to see. Ambient, doubly or triply reflected light is usually more than enough if you control glare, minimize glare. We all know how to use a flashlight. You point the flashlight on the ground. You don't shine it into your own eyes, right? Why do we forget that basic rule when it comes to outdoor lighting? These outdoor lights are basically a flashlight shining directly into your eye. They're causing direct glare. They're making it harder to see, not easier. Rule number 2, minimize blue light, especially at night. I would hate to live in this development, in this house on Northampton's so-called Hospital Hill. And those lights are on all night long, and you would have to get dark blackout shades to keep that light from keeping you up all night long and ruining your sleep and your health. The color of lights is measured on the Kelvin scale here, where the higher the number, the bluer the light. We call that a cooler temperature. The lower the number, the warmer the light, and we call it warmer, so the less blue. Massachusetts Medical Society recommends no bluer than 2700 K. Dark Sky International recommends no bluer than 2200 K. So those are just numbers to keep in mind as you go about, buying lights for your own house or making plans for your own town. Many cities and towns have already made good decisions about this. Some have made bad, but here are some good ones. The technology is already there. It's not a technological problem. These lights are high efficiency LED lights that come in amber, warm colors like 2700 or even 2200 K. And here are some samples of cities and towns, including ones here in Massachusetts, that have made the good decisions to install minimal blue light at night. for all the reasons we've talked about: human health, fireflies, migrating birds, and the night sky. All of them are worse with blue, better with these amber colors. Number three, don't use more light than you need. If a certain amount of light is bright enough, is there any benefit from 10 times brighter? No, there isn't. So let's control the light. This picture shows that little black hat that sits on the top of most street lights. You can, for a few tens of dollars, buy a so-called dimulator that has a little clock in it and will turn your street light, down to, say, 50% or 25% brightness late at night when probably nobody's there, or could even turn it off. All of these rules are summarized here. These are 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting that were put together by 2 organizations. One, Dark Sky International, which is the go-to organization for protecting the night sky. And the other one, the Illuminating Engineering Society, who used to be kind of our enemies, but we made friends and we got together and came up with these 5 basic rules. All outdoor light should be useful, not just stuck on a building for no reason. Should be targeted, meaning it should face down only, not up into the sky. Should have low light levels, not brighter than necessary. Controlled, so it turns off late at night. LED lights are very easily controlled with electronic controllers now. And use warmer colors when possible, minimize the amount of blue light. These 5 principles, if you take nothing else away from tonight, these are our marching orders. You can take these to your employer, take them to your local school, to your local government, any institution that you're associated with. Ask them, lobby them to adopt these 5 principles. There are no numbers in here. There's no commitment. It's not enforceable. It's just getting the conversation going, getting the values out there up front and articulated, so that then you can take further steps later. So how is Stow in all of this? Stow does have a zoning bylaw that includes exterior lighting, and here it is, and it's got some good value in it. It says all building lighting is to be dark sky compliant and shall use warmer color lighting where possible. Lighting shall be low level, no brighter than necessary. That's what we just said. Those are the principles right there. That's great. The problem is this is not strong enough. It's not enforceable. Anybody could say, well, I put in the light that I need. It's not brighter than necessary. It is the brightness not needed. So how could you actually use this bylaw to enforce it? I don't think you can. So I would call these bylaws well-intentioned, but weak and probably unenforceable. If you want to do better, Dark Sky Massachusetts, the state chapter of the international organization, Dark Sky Massachusetts, has its own website. There it is, darkskymass.org. And we have on that website a template bylaw that you can use as a model for improving your own town's light pollution regulation. It's a bylaw that we developed over the last several years, and it's already been adopted by several towns. There are over 50 cities and towns in Massachusetts that have some kind of outdoor lighting regulation. Some of them not very strong, like Stow's, some of them much stronger. You can use this template as a starting point for making improvements. Here in Northampton, we have an organization called Northampton City Lights. Here's our website. It's a clearinghouse for information, resources. We meet once a month. We try to get to know every one of the city councilors and other decision makers before they're elected, and have the conversation just be a regular part of the culture about the importance of protecting darkness at night. We put on an event. Here is Northampton Night Fest from 2 years ago. It's for International Dark Sky Week, which is coming up in late April. We're going to have it again in Northampton. And we got the city to issue a proclamation recognizing International Dark Sky Week. So here's the mayor's proclamation, signing off saying, we, the city of Northampton, think this is an important issue and it merits our attention. The state has done the same thing. Here is the state proclamation from Governor Healy just last year, recognizing International Dark Sky Week. So this is something you could have your select board or your town manager do in Stow. We have statewide legislation working its way through the legislature. You see the bill numbers up there, calling for all of these basic rules to apply, like full shielding and warm colors and limited brightness and good control. Uh, this would apply if this bill were passed. This would apply to all state and city funded lighting. It wouldn't apply to private lighting the way some states do, but at least it would be a good start. City of Northampton passed a resolution a couple of years ago saying, hey, we think this is a good idea. You could have Stow do the same thing. It would certainly help try and get it over the finish line at the state level. So here's a list of things that you might consider doing to help turn back the tide of light pollution in Stow and our larger environment. And I won't read this all, but you'll be able to refer to it in the recording later. It includes small things like holding star parties and handing out some brochures to bigger things like starting a group that has regular meetings, or getting the town of Stow to adopt the 5 principles. And I hope that some of these you'll find a low enough bar or a good match to your own interests or the resources that you already have there in town so that you can get some momentum going and get the discussion going in town. So to summarize, light pollution is bad for all the reasons we've talked about: human health, the environment, the night sky, the economy, our pocketbooks. But it's easy to fix. Unlike climate change or air pollution or water pollution, light pollution turns off with a flick of a switch, and it's not a technical problem. It just needs the political will to do it, and we can do it light bulb by light bulb. Every light bulb that's on all night long is a problem, but that's easily fixed. So here we have a global problem with a local solution. And it's a win-win. Nobody benefits from light pollution. Everybody benefits from bringing back darkness at night. I'll close then with this video montage of a comet that maybe you saw during the pandemic in 2020 at a time when people were desperate to connect with each other. And one way to connect was to go outside and look up at the night sky. And maybe you were able to catch a sight of this visitor from the outer solar system gracing our skies if you could find a dark enough place to see it. And my hope and dream is that we'll be able to see spectacles like this from all of our backyards, and that we'll be able to step out even in the city and see a naturally dark sky. And I want to thank you all for your attention and for your help in fixing this problem and addressing the ills of light pollution and bringing back natural darkness at night. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you particularly for, I hadn't expected the amount of attention you'd do to give to customizing your talk to specifics in Stow. That's great. I mean, we're a small town, less than 8,000 people, and usually we're in talks about climate issues where, we hear about Metro West, but we don't hear about Stow. Very nice. Thank you.
My pleasure. You're welcome. And I was actually surprised to see that Stow, even though you're, am I right, only 20 miles west of Boston or so? Is that about right?
Few more. We're just inside 495, if you know how far 495 is.
Yeah, right.
I'd say it's more like 25 or 30.
It's darker there than it is in Northampton, in downtown Northampton anyway. How about that?
But don't tell us that. You have to keep us working here.
Yeah, it cuts both ways. Any questions or comments that you might want to share?
I'm looking at our guests here. Yeah, anybody can unmute themselves and ask a question right now. Sarah, are you getting ready to ask a question?
Oh,
I see
well, I
Kathy's.
just yeah. So several of us are here from a new development that we just finished project. There's 26 units, 55 plus, in actually Littleton, Mass, which is just slightly north of Stow. And our biggest problem is our night light. The exterior lights are so bright, and you know, we didn't really design them. They were put in exterior lights. They're tall lamp lights. I do believe they go down, but I don't know what the actual lumens are. But we're starting to really look at revamping them and putting in motion sensors and timers, and we actually have somebody working with us, a consultant working with us to help us redo the lights.
Is that consultant a dark sky friendly, a dark sky knowledgeable lighting designer? Do you know?
I don't know. They did the lighting for the Groton Hill Music Center. They are so we're a co-housing community, and I think he is very aware that we also have a 12-acre conservation area. So we're very thoughtful of the wildlife that we're conservators for. That's part of our property.
Mhm.
And so I think we all discuss what's going to happen with the options that this designer is going to present and but this talk has been very informative,
Good. Thank you. And
bringing my level of awareness up. So I
don't
thank you.
don't accept advice that you don't like, especially from the vendors of the lighting. They are not necessarily dark sky cognizant. You know, I won't say anything about their intentions. They may have perfectly good intentions, but the vast majority of lights are purchased and installed by people who know electricity really well, but they don't know light very well. Uh, 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 well under 10% of lights are installed or designed, purchased, installed by people who actually understand lighting. If you can possibly hire a lighting designer, and I can suggest names, for example, in Cambridge, Lam Partners are
Mhm.
great. Glenn Heinmiller. You could also try her name is escaping me. It'll
Yep.
come in a minute. There are plenty of good lighting designers if you can just hire one of them who understands dark sky principles. You can get away with much less light than you have. It doesn't have to be blindingly bright. There's no point to that. It doesn't have to be all night long. You
Right.
can have all the safety you need. They may say, oh, no, no, our insurance requires this. That's not true. You can
Yeah.
push back on that. Don't take that for an answer. Um, there are plenty of examples of developments, including co-housing here in Northampton, that have
Hmm.
much better design lighting, subtle, mellow, warm color on timers. And guess what?
Yep.
People are not tripping and falling down and breaking their necks. They're not, their houses are not getting robbed. They're not getting mugged.
Right.
There's no correlation between those lighting situations and crime. Or
That's really good to hear because I think that comes up like, oh, our insurance, what if somebody falls and it's dark and we're going to get sued? I mean, there's this fear factor. But we all used to troop around in the dark just
right,
fine.
right.
Yeah, up to
Is
10 years.
Sarah, I don't know if this is your development or not. Is Lee Cooperrider one of your
Yes, yes, he is. He's the one who told us about this talk tonight. Yes,
Yeah,
he's
I'm
part
not
of
surprised.
it.
Yeah, he's good.
He is good. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Um, so just point of interest, I live in Maynard, but my grandchildren are all in Northampton and I have a condo in Northampton,
Oh,
right on Route 66, just down from the prison.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Which direction?
It's Wildwood Court, so it's east of the prison. It's
Okay.
a half mile from Smith.
Yes. Okay.
You go
Well,
up that back driveway from Smith. It's
yes. Yeah. 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 The lights are bad there, and if you want to work on it with me, I'd love to work with you.
well,
But
I'm trying to sell the condo, so
oh, okay. All right.
I
Well,
I
you don't
just
want to.
resigned from the Board of Trustees, but
Maybe you can help connect me with some people there.
I could, yeah, because I actually sent them the dark sky video
Oh, good.
and they were interested in it. So I will, if you wouldn't mind, I'll give them your name because they
Please,
were interested.
Please, that would be fantastic. I would love to work on that with them.
Okay, it's small condo. It's only 9 units. But
Yeah.
the reason I popped in is I am leading an effort in Maynard to develop a dark sky bylaw. We already have some,
Oh,
but
good.
it's not extensive enough, and so we're working on really expanding that a lot. And the town has been really enthusiastic about working with us. We're lucky. But we're all small towns around here, and I was interested in your dark sky day, and I'd like to hear more about what you're doing there. And those are the kind of things and educational things like this, it seems to me, would benefit all of the towns that are working on this to maybe work together a little bit, because
Yeah.
Maynard's about the same size as Stow. We're tiny. We're like one little section of Northampton.
Yes. Yeah. Um, it's great that you're doing that, and I hope that you are able to avail yourselves of the template bylaw that.
We
uh,
have that. Yeah. And in fact, do you know Kelly Beatty?
yes, if you've worked with Kelly,
I just copied. Our starting point is we just copied his.
fantastic, great, great, good. So Kelly and I work very closely together, and we developed that bylaw together with Tim Brothers and others. Uh, and if you're copying that, then I think you're in good hands. That's a great starting place.
Yeah,
And
some
James,
pushback that we've gotten is it's very technical, and I have a technical background, so it seemed really clear and easy to understand for me. But I just met with the town planner today and said, Kathy, if you take this to town meeting, nobody's going to understand half of these words, and you can't educate them in the 5 minutes we're going to give you.
Right.
And he said, you need to dumb it down, and then we'll put, all your fancy words in the planning regs and refer to that or something.
We do have a short video. It's 15 minutes long on YouTube about why your town, should or might consider
Yeah, yeah.
bylaw.
We have that, and I was thinking, I think it's 6 minutes.
Oh, maybe it's not the same one, but as long as if you've got a good one that you're
It's
happy with, then
it's
great.
it's from the Dark Sky website,
Yeah,
and I think we should just show that at town meeting.
absolutely. And you got a captive audience, and it'll be carefully crafted as long as it's got the right message.
And it does a lot better job than I could.
And also consider getting Kelly or me or somebody else to come in and speak.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that you would come to the town meeting
We
to.
do it all the time, and sometimes it's better to have an outside expert.
That would be fabulous because you could talk to it. I mean, my background isn't astronomy or lighting. I'm a computer person.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
um, that would be fabulous. And how do I get in contact with you? Just call Smith College?
You can just look me up online at Smith. I'll
Okay.
put my email in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Uh,
But are other people here on the call doing dark sky bylaws in your town?
not yet.
but you did
We're
mention,
we're getting ready, but I think it'll be 1, 2 years away for us.
and Rick,
Oh,
you mentioned a development of an athletic field, likely sports lighting, and I want to pop here is in the chat the
Mhm.
link to dark sky friendly sports lighting. If you just absorb and follow the recommendations there, then you'll have state-of-the-art sports lighting that has minimal effects on the nighttime environment in town.
Great, great.
And I assume that that would be the same for any nighttime golf driving range that we would try, that is being proposed.
Yes, that should apply as well. I think there's even special treatment for golf courses. What a shame to light up a golf course at night. I mean, that's a lot of territory. It's a lot of acres, and that's a lot of wildlife being disrupted.
Right. No, I think what they're proposing is a driving range.
Just the driving range. Uh-huh.
So they would have lighting for the driving range.
Yeah.
And the issue, of course, is that the driving range, the golf course is within a neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And so
It's
the
going to
neighbors
affect,
are all upset about the fact that if you have lighting at night, not only will the traffic be a problem, but
yeah,
the lighting will be a problem.
yes, yeah. It will be a problem. I mean, even if it's the sports friendly lighting, it's going to make a difference. But at the very least, it should be that, I mean, dark sky friendly. At the very least, it should be dark sky friendly. Well,
Any other comments or questions, Sarah?
Just wondering, do you have any examples of places that have done dark sky lighting that are local? How would
I have a really good example. Maynard built a new fire station last year, and it's on the mill pond, and my house is on the mill pond, so I'm right across from the fire station.
yeah,
And I can see lights, but they do not intrude on my property, whereas the mill has lights
yeah,
that just shine
yeah,
in all of my windows.
yeah.
Um, so go to Maynard and go down to Sudbury Street and look at the fire station. They
By
did
the
a
mill.
very nice job.
Good.
you can go to Pepperell to see street lights that are 2200 Kelvin.
Yeah, Pepperell. Okay,
Pepperell, yep,
they've adopted it. That's
Yep.
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
And you can go to Chelmsford to see a commercial supermarket parking lot that has well shielded lights that are not shining out in all directions, but only down. And
Nice.
that's where Kelly Beatty lives. And Kelly got that developer to do the right thing. The developer was so happy about them that he told Kelly, I'm going to do this in all of my future developments.
Wow. Wow. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure just from looking at it that the brand new Groton Music Center looks to me like it's got to be dark sky compliant because you see this big, huge music center up on a hill and the lights are not intruding beyond that property. And
That's
it's a
good.
very warm, inviting
So
light.
it sounds as if they got a good lighting designer there.
Yeah.
That's the
Good, thank
opposite
you.
of Tanglewood, Jacob's Pillow, Shakespeare and Company, all these Berkshire festival places that, celebrate their being embedded in nature, and then they ruin nature with their night lighting. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
that way. So I'm glad to hear that there's a counterexample.
Groton. Yeah, it's in Groton.
I second that. I was coming out of there when there was uh, ah, the sky effect. I'm losing words everywhere. But I got beautiful photographs standing right in front of the car park.
At
So,
Groton Hill.
yes,
Were you
Great.
there the night of the lights, the Northern
yes.
Lights? Yes,
Yeah.
I was there
Northern
that same.
Lights, that's
I bet
it.
we were at the same concert.
Yeah. So I was amazed how well they
I
came
think
out.
it was
But yeah,
Emmanuel Axe. Was it Emmanuel Axe?
yes. Mm.
Well,
But what are you doing in Northampton for your dark sky day? You said you're going to have
yeah, we have an event after sunset on one of the nights during International Dark Sky Week.
uh-huh.
And, we hold it at a lovely little campus right in downtown called Historic Northampton, which is a nonprofit sort of living history place with some of the oldest buildings in town and wonderful collections and great programming. And their executive director is very interested in dark skies. And even though it's right on the edge of downtown, it's right across from the post office. It's got bright street lights. It's right on Route 9. But she has done a phenomenal job at doing the lights very sensitively, and she's happy to welcome us to set up telescopes, do a little stargazing, go in the barn and talk about dark sky issues. We had a poetry reading from an Abenaki poet. We had the mayor come last year and read her proclamation. And this year we are planning to announce the good news that we're proposing, we're applying for official dark sky urban place status for that campus. That's through Dark Sky International. We're going to, pay $250 and submit an application, and I have a good feeling about it. So then it'll be on
When
the
are
map.
you doing this? I might go visit my grandsons and take them to this.
Did you say when or where?
When?
I will give you the date. It's either April. I think. Let's see. International Dark Sky Week is 21 to 28 of April, and it's either going to be Tuesday, the 22nd. If it's clear, we'll do it then. If it's not clear, we'll do it on Saturday, the 26th.
Oh, okay. So, it's kind of up in the air. Is it advertised someplace?
We'll have it on northamptoncitylights.org shortly. It's not up yet.
I'm writing this down.
Great. Well, I wish you all such good luck in your efforts in your own cities and towns and neighborhoods and homeowners associations. Thank you for tuning in tonight, for your good questions, and I'll look forward to following your good news.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for the customization. You made it
pleasure.
a point, right? Great.
Bye, everybody.
you.
Good night.
Lady,
Good night.
there. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.